Samuel Little confessed to murdering 93 people across the United States. Now, over the next 3 nights, we'll tell the story of America's deadliest serial killer like you've never seen before.
We're tracing his first steps into crime right here in Northeast Ohio. Investigator Sarah Goldenberg tracked down one detective who never forgot him and opened up in a dramatic fashion about that encounter.
Here's episode 1 of To Catch a Killer, Samuel Little.
Samuel Little preyed on the women he said society wouldn't miss. The convicted serial killer's victims were prostitutes and drug addicts. 7 murders here in Ohio, and the identity of one woman is still a mystery. These are the faces of just some of the victims sketched by serial killer Samuel Little. His run-ins with the law started as a child. Burglaries and robberies dot his time in Northeast Ohio. In the beginning, nothing hinted at the serial killer behind them. But for one local detective, something was off.
So unusual that I felt the need to add additional information in the report.
Samuel Little was born in 1940 in Georgia. He grew up with his grandmother in Lorain, Ohio, and says he was abandoned as a baby by his mother, who was a prostitute. 19 News learned Little went to Hawthorne Junior High School, but at 16 years old, he landed in a juvenile detention center. In 1961, he got 3 years for robbing a Lorain furniture store, then crisscrossed the nation, surviving on petty crime. It wasn't until the 1970s he started killing, but he always came home. In 1984, Little hit the Higbees at Midway Mall in Elyria, shoplifting 14 pairs of jeans worth more than $300. 19 News tracked down the now retired detective who made the arrest.
There was something about this guy that just made me uncomfortable, and I've jokingly said it made the spidey sense tingle.
Alan Leiby spent more than 2 decades working for Elyria police. 35 years later, he still remembers running into Little. On Little's arrest sheet, Leiby wrote this note titled Reference to Bond, an apparent reference to the crime-ridden road Little was on.
He has receipts in his possession from Delaware County Jail in Ohio and Fruitland County Jail in Georgia. He claims intoxication but has a cast on his right leg and negotiates very well with it. Minor odor of alcohol on his person, and is very articulate about why he was stealing.
Little told police he was a self-employed painter and had been married once.
He was very articulate and very cooperative. He was just a very easy guy to get along with.
Decades went by and Little faded from his memory until police reached out to him a couple of years ago. Leiby learned Little was much more than a petty thief.
Do you think he wanted that recognition?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He wants to be famous, and now he is.
The killings could have stopped in 1982 when police in Pascagoula, Mississippi arrested Little for the murder of Melinda Lepre. But they didn't have enough evidence at the time, and he walked free. A jury also found him not guilty in 1984 for a Florida murder.
How does someone like this continue to move around the country and continue to wreak this carnage and not have any of these charges stick enough to take him off the street?
That same year, police say Little strangled and tried to kill Lori Barros in San Diego. She survived the attack, and so did another woman, attacked a month later. Little only served 2.5 years in prison and then moved to LA, where he went on to kill more women in the 80s.
But society doesn't see those people.
He picked people that he thought no one would notice if they were gone.
But in 2012, somebody noticed. Los Angeles police arrested Little on a drug charge, and Detective Mitzi Roberts pieced together 3 unsolved homicides with new DNA samples from Little.
Once we knew what we were dealing with, which was a violent offender, a serial killer, then it became very important for us to get this guy in custody.
19 News got an inside look at the investigation that started it all from the LA District Attorney's Office. We found Little has been arrested about 75 times for crimes from theft to rape to homicide. We obtained these photos of the crime scenes and evidence. The 3 victims killed in a 5-mile radius south of downtown LA. Little lived just miles away at the time. In July 1987, Little killed Carol Alford. Her body was found in this alley, and police collected this bra and shirt she was wearing as evidence. Little murdered Audrey Nelson 2 years later. Her body was found in a dumpster in this restaurant parking lot. Fingernail clippings show she fought back, getting Little's DNA under her nails. The next month, the body of Guadalupe Apodaca was found inside an abandoned auto repair shop. This yellow shirt she was wearing marked as evidence. A judge sentenced Little to 3 life sentences for the murders, but he denied he killed those women. Here's victim Carol Alford's daughter.
It's closure for me. I know for me, if it's nobody else, it's for me.
In his case file, prosecutors wrote, wherever the defendant travels, he leaves behind in his wake a series of female victims who have been beaten, sexually assaulted, and or murdered in a similar manner. The defendant obviously took delight in humiliating his victims, even in death. This break in the LA murders would soon lead to dozens of breaks in cold cases across the country. What led Samuel Little to confess to more than 90 murders, and how did a Texas Ranger get him to crack?
I think about it all the time. That's why I remember, because I think about all of my...
Find out why investigators believed Little after years of lies. I'm Sarah Goldenberg. That's next on episode 2 of To Catch a Killer, Samuel Little.